Let's just start with a real question. You ever feel totally overwhelmed? Like life's just a constant stream of notifications, deadlines, and mental noise? It's pretty much the default setting for a lot of us these days. But what if I told you there's a system, an ancient one, that's literally designed to deal with exactly that?
Now check this out. This quote is from someone in a workplace wellness study, and this was after just one 30-minute yoga session on a Friday. Think about that. They walked in feeling drained and walked out with a significant improvement in energy. That tells you there's something much, much more going on here than just a bit of stretching.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? We see yoga in gyms, we think of it as a workout to get flexible, but honestly, that's just scratching the surface. What we're really talking about is this incredibly deep and complete system for well-being. At its core, yoga is all about integration. It's about getting your mind, your body, and your spirit to work together, to be in harmony. And the benefits are huge. We're not just talking about touching your toes. We're talking real, measurable health improvements, like helping to regulate blood pressure, building functional strength, and, maybe most importantly, finding a sense of quiet in a very loud world. So how does it all work? Where do you even begin? Well, lucky for us, there's a roadmap. Our guide is one of the most important texts in all of yoga, the Yoga Sutras, put together by a sage named Patanjali, probably about 2,000 years ago. Patanjali laid it all out in a super clear 8-step path, which we call the 8 limbs of yoga. And this isn't just a random list of things to do. It's a progressive journey. It's designed to take you from how you act in the outside world all the way to the deepest states of inner peace and self-discovery. And I love this metaphor of a tree, because it shows you exactly how it all connects. So the roots, right? Those are the ethical principles. Things like non-harming and truthfulness. They ground you. Then you have the trunk, which is the physical postures, the asana. That gives you stability. The branches are your breath and your ability to turn your senses inward. And after all that, you get the flower, concentration, meditation, and eventually this state of enlightenment. See how each part builds on the last? It's brilliant.
Okay, so let's zoom in a bit and look at the tools you'd actually use, especially when you're starting out. We're going to focus on the big 3: body, breath, and mind.
Now, what I find so fascinating is the original definition of a yoga pose, or asana. Patanjali didn't talk about getting your leg behind your head. He just said it should be steady and comfortable. The whole point wasn't to create a fancy shape. It was just to find a way to sit still comfortably so you could move on to the deeper stuff like breathing and meditating. Of course, since then, the physical side of things has absolutely exploded. We've gone from a few simple seated poses to literally hundreds of different postures, standing poses, balancing on your hands, going upside down. The practice has evolved into this rich, physical universe, but that original idea of finding a steady, present foundation, that's still at the core of it all. All right, from the body, we move to the breath. In yoga, this is called pranayama, and the key word here is prana. Prana means vital life energy or life force. So, pranayama isn't just breathing for the sake of breathing. It's about using your breath as a handle to consciously control and expand your body's energy. It's pretty powerful stuff. Here's a really simple one you can try literally right now. It's called bee breath. Just sit up straight, take your index fingers and place them on that little flap of cartilage on your ears. Take a nice deep breath in, and as you breathe out, gently press on the cartilage and just hum, like a bee. That vibration is incredibly soothing for the nervous system. Pretty cool, right?
So, once we have a stable body and a calm breath, the next logical step is to start drawing our awareness inward, away from all the external distractions. This is what opens the door to some really profound states of relaxation, where you're awake and aware, but deeply, deeply rested.
A perfect example of this is something called yoga nidra, which translates to yogic sleep. And here's the crucial difference. In normal sleep, you're out, you're unconscious. But in yoga nidra, you stay consciously aware while your body goes into this incredible state of deep rest. In fact, some studies suggest that just 1 hour of yoga nidra can feel as restorative as 4 hours of regular sleep. That's a game changer. Okay, so this all sounds amazing, but what's actually happening on our biology? This is where ancient wisdom gets a high five from modern science, because we can now see how these practices literally change the structure and function of your brain. So that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? How can something as simple as paying attention to your body and your breath create such a massive shift in how you feel and think? It seems almost too simple. Well, we can actually see it. These are brain scans taken during Yoga Nidra. And look at the areas that are lighting up. Those are the centers for vision and touch. This tells us that even when you're in this state of super deep rest, your brain is highly active. It's strengthening its ability to visualize, to connect with sensation and emotion. So you're not just zoning out, you're actively rewiring your internal world.
And the scientific term for this magic is neuroplasticity. All it means is that your brain has this amazing ability to reorganize itself, to form new connections based on what you do and think. Your brain isn't fixed, like a block of concrete. It's more like clay, and your thoughts and actions are constantly reshaping it.
I love this analogy. Think of your thoughts like water. The first time you have an anxious thought, it's like a tiny trickle of water on the ground. No big deal. But if you have that same thought over and over, that trickle becomes a stream, then a river, and eventually a deep canyon. It becomes your default pathway. What practices like yoga do is help you consciously carve new, healthier riverbeds for your thoughts. And that brings us right back to where we started. We began with this feeling of being overwhelmed and stressed out. We've looked at the ancient tools and the modern science. So now let's look at what happens when real people put this stuff into practice.
And remember that workplace study? The feedback was just incredible. People weren't just less stressed, they felt their energy coming back. After a long, hard week, they felt renewed.
This one really shows you how the practice becomes essential. It's not just a nice little bonus. It makes a real, tangible difference. This person felt it so much that they noticed its absence when they skipped a week. That's when you know it's working.
And sometimes it's just that simple. It's not some complicated intellectual idea. It's a feeling. You do the practice and you feel the difference. Period. But here's the final and maybe most important point. According to its philosophy, yoga isn't just a band-aid for stress. It's not just about coping. The deeper goal is to get to the root of what causes our stress and suffering in the first place, to change the very patterns of our mind so that suffering doesn't even arise. So from ethical principles to physical postures to the breath, all the way to rewiring the brain, yoga gives us a complete path. And that leaves us with a question to sit with. If the ultimate goal is to create a more peaceful, resilient, and joyful inner world, where would you begin?